Hello everybody and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. We are back on High Noon Remake for a 1v1 between Cortex and Armada. So we have a slightly lower OS game today with SMG being an OS of 28 and his opponent today is Lon, OS of 34. So not too much difference between them, but still sizable, one would say. Now, bit of an interesting choice here. Lon choosing to build Wind when Wind was at 2. Not necessarily the best of start choices here. Maybe just stuck on a kind of routine of Mex's Wind's battery. But that will put Lon a little bit behind. And as we switch over to the other side, SMG here with Solar Star, actually, which was definitely needed with Wind as it was. Wind on this map, generally okay, not great. 12 is not the highest you can see for Wind, so a mixture probably needed here, especially with a low of 2. It's a bit dangerous to just be investing in Wind. May end up seeing some E-stalls if both players do that. Now, this map, yeah, if you're new to Bar and haven't seen it before, the little water area in the center here is not passable by ticks, which is the Armada scout unit for the bots, which is why both players, even though they're choosing different factions, are going vehicles, because vehicles can path through it perfectly fine. Now, as we zoom out again to give you a bit of a vision on the start positions, pretty sure the start box is helpful if the drawing wouldn't go all over the place. Something like this, if I remember correctly. So with a position to start here, 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 and here. And being that this is primarily made for team-based map making, or team-based matches rather, it kind of makes sense that that would be the case. Plenty of metal spots, so that's also why the vehicle play is the right play here. So much metal available. Now, scouts attempting to get through here by Lunge 27. I'm just going to call them Lon because it's just easier. But nothing able to get through. Now, there is a lot of metal extractors on the map, especially down in this bottom section here. You know, you've got 3 here, another 3 here, and then finally 1 there. And in the water, there's another 4 plus 2 on the island. So both players being vehicle also give them access to amphibious constructors, and that will be needed to get those water mexes. Now, there are less mechs in the water, obviously, than on land, so it's not necessarily a priority. But tidal is at 15. Tidal is obviously always constant, so maybe then investing into solars, you maybe choose to invest into tidals. We have 85, 250 as opposed to the 150 of solars, so it does work out metal cheaper. Obviously, it costs energy to make them, but still. The probability that either player will choose to actually go for Navy here is probably quite low. Although you can kind of control the center of the map with boats, it's not really worth it. The metal cost, you're better off going into maybe air, would give you a better value for money investment than going into sea, because you basically lose ground control if you go sea. Now, the geo point here next to SMG does work as a pretty decent position, getting energy up. It does make them vulnerable to the water attack from this side up the top, but that's the pretty much common 1v1 start position. Whereas as we look over here for Lon, this is a bit of an abnormal start position. It's long way from any geos. There's a geo there and a geo here, but it does give better expansion opportunities with there being mexes pretty much all the way around it. However, it is kind of more open to flanking, with units being able to move around here, you know, round from the bottom. Whereas if your base is at the bottom, if you defend this path here, then you kind of have to put this side to worry about, and that's it. So I guess you could argue that they're both somewhat equal, but I would say that this is kind of a bit more exposed. But that doesn't matter if you end up holding the front anyway. And that is so far what Lon has done successfully with 2 LLTs up. Both players struggling for energy right now as wind is dipped to 7. But you can see the difference in metal a second so far. We see 2 cons expanding for Lon here so far, and only a single con expanding for SMG. Now SMG and Lon's comms are at the front, so they are being able to get the metal extractors that are at front, high value ones at that, as well as build the LLTs there to defend. However, LLTs aren't necessary the be all and end all of defense here. A decently sized group of blitzes like this could quite easily push through a LLT on its own. But with there being a sizable amount of insides, it's okay. The biggest issue with High Noon as a map is that once you kind of secure this kind of choke, the fight has to take place elsewhere, or you need to push hard through. If you lose this gap, it's pretty much end of the game, because you can't really get back to this point. Like I said before, there's too many ways around. Like if you choose to go bots, you can go over this cliff, for example. There's just too many ways around. So holding this front is imperative. And if you lose it, it's pretty much game. Both players just posturing units at the front so far. Sometimes we end up seeing a removal of the rear factory with a factory built at the front here in order to maintain pressure. But both players playing very passively so far. Neither one really wants to make an effort. SMG actually building AA here on the front line just as a precaution. Being he's against Armada, he doesn't really have to worry too much about air. May have to worry about some Banshees maybe going and trying to pick up the metal extractors on the south side, but that's about it. Now, instantly what we are seeing from Lon is pincers coming out. Surprisingly going for pincers here before getting an amphib con up in an attempt to just maybe go for a attack and try and end this quickly. At the same time, we do see SMG with an amphib constructor out. Now, he has got this queued up. I would have liked to have seen a naval radar. I love how it just draws it like completely not where I'm drawing because of the water level. Over here, just so that we kind of would have vision. Because if he built this radar here, and the sonar gives you a pretty decent... yeah, so you can kind of see that blue line. If he built it here, he would pretty much, maybe there, would pretty much give him any vision. Because they would go up on the mountain, up on the island rather, and then that would get radar vision. So they would have to go all the way around the back of the island in order to basically get away with this. But, you know, you're not going to know that because you're not going to see the radar in time. But that would give you enough warning to be able to deal with stuff. Same way that if you were, you know, trying to stop a push down here, you build a radar here, you could pretty much protect yourself against anything with the exception of stuff coming up here. So you'd have to kind of maybe build it here, maybe. That there might catch it. But still. Looks like no radar at all, and here comes an attack on the front. The amphib tanks are making their way across. Here they go. Will they manage to get through? No, backing off again. Incisors and a pounder now here at the front. Looking at the point of view of SMG, he hasn't seen the amphib tanks making their move by. And it looks like Lon is prepping a two-front attack here. And the land forces make their way across. They still haven't even taken out the LLT yet. So many of the Blues tanks have been destroyed. LLT now going down. Pounder doing a decent job at delaying stuff. not really being microed, and this force is pretty much dead already. So as we switch over to the base, huge amounts of damage being dealt by these pincers. Well, you can see from point of view, the SMG hasn't even realized yet. Now only just realizing. At the same time, we can kind of see on the minimap here that the commander of Lon has actually made its way across and pushed through the water as well. Geo going down, and this is going to be a complete base wipe for SMG. Lon's commander, however, is still somewhat vulnerable here at 75% health, about to get surrounded by all of SMG's units. SMG knows that it's basically, he has to kill this commander now. He's lost everything. He's lost the choke. He's lost his base. Lon managing to escape in the water with 28% health. 28% health. And what's SMG going to do now? SMG looks like he's just chasing Lon down. He doesn't know where Lon has gone. Tank fight is obviously not going to end well for SMG, but doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Those pincers going to take out all of SMG's economy. So now SMG's only way to win is he needs to catch the commander of Lon, who is at 34% health. Constructor desperately trying to build an urchin in order to try and delay him. The constructor's going in. Body blocking Lon's commander, just in range of SMG's commander, now able to do the damage, all due to a body block. Tremendous use of constructor there. And with that,
Commander
SMG
destroyed.
takes the win. Very well played there, not giving up at all and able to pull back that victory. Very, very well played, SMG. And boom, surprise two-parter. Didn't see that coming, did you? Another 1v1, obviously. And we are looking at Shirakawa versus Indomitus. Indomitus, we've seen on the channel a couple of times now. Doing pretty well. Shirakawa OS 41 and Indomitus 48. And the map is, we've seen it a couple of times now, but I cannot remember for the life of me what it's called. Boreal Falls. There we go. Shirakawa starting with a no mechs start. Very interesting here. Whereas on the opposite side, we're seeing a two mech start from Indomitus. Kind of normal, what you would expect. Armada versus Cortex lineup here. Shirakawa really pushing it here. No rush out on Con. But starting with 6 wind turbines, factory and Con, just as the first metal extractor is built. It's really making the most of the metal in the bank here before pushing anything out. No build power extra on the factory either. And getting out even more wins with the first Con looking to go and expand. A very ballsy choice here. As the first tick makes its way across, no defensive units at all. Grunt having to be rushed out here. A single tick on its own won't really do too much. I mean, it does stop the construction of that metal extractor, delaying it ever so slightly. But with a radar up now and energy convert going down already, maybe overbuilt a little bit too much, Shirakawa. And as we look over in Indomitus with only a single Con out so far, but a Resbot instead to kind of supplement the energy need. There is a lot of energy on this map, as we can see, 2.7k there, another 2.1k and 4k up in these crystals at the top. So it's kind of a good way of, you know, stopping you having to build too much in the way of energy. I did not know that that was a path up. Well, that's good to know for future reference. Grunt stops the tick harass. Another tick, though, makes it into base just as the grunt comes out, managing to stop it. Very well done. Shirakawa a bit light on forces right now. 1v1, Grunt v Pawn. If a Grunt does manage to get within range, a Grunt will end up winning. Slowly building LLTs, though, in his expansion is doing the job. Needing to now supplement an extra Grunt here to defend this comp. Oh, the tick almost gets the E-converter, which with its proximity to that wind turbine would also take that out as well. No con turret being built yet. We quickly switch over to Indomitus' side. No scaling of E either. 2 cons expanding and just using the commander's build power. Shirakawa obviously pushing in front instead with his commander. So when it comes to actual build power on factory, Indomitus does have an advantage right now. To the answer to this spec, I've never seen anyone spawn there. Surely we're going to see Resbot soon, perhaps. A lot of dead Rex lying around that could be brought back up and added to the unit count. A couple of Grunts on the side here, managing to make a path round. Kind of somewhat surprised we don't see maybe like a single Centurion coming out for Indomitus just to push and hold the middle. Shirakawa's forces just getting absolutely collapsed on, losing all 3 of those Grunts. The ones around the side here desperately trying to get round. Does he manage to get by? He's still in radar view, but yeah, that's what I've already said about that. Energy converter just right in the center, you know, right next to your build power. Perfect place to put an energy converter. What could possibly go wrong? Oh. Domitus is calm. Playing a dangerous game here. Shirakawa versus Indomitus calm. One-on-one here. The pawn's not wanting to go in. Indomitus down to 50% health already. And Shirakawa is able to get his LLT built, denying the extra 2 metal extractors in the center. Now there is a con already behind, which may do the job at being able to deny the mexes again by building a beamer or something, but we'll see. 2 ticks in this bottom corner have managed to get the expansion con of Shirakawa. Shirakawa now just pressuring Indomitus even more, pushing forward, getting the 4 mexes in the middle. Grunt's doing a good job at kind of laying him by, stopping the build. But there is, again, this guy here, he should be using this to maybe get a beamer up or something, or at least assist with build power. Indomitus instead just kind of slowly getting pushed further and further back. Grunts coming in. Grunts get degunned, quite a few of them, leaving Shirakawa a bit light on forces. He didn't shoot the degun backwards on my screen. And finally, that beamer now getting built. I don't know if he's maybe left this a little bit too late. Shirakawa could just walk up and degun it now. The Grunts may be a little bit too late to get this done in time. Degun. Beamer. The beamer. Gets the degun on the beamer. You cannot degun a commander, Shirakawa. And this is extremely close now. Indomitus degunning the Grunts. Use the build power of your con to heal. 30% versus 35%. Both of them trading. Build power on the con, trying to assist. Deguns the con.
Commander destroyed.
Indomitus, just with that extra bit of build power,
Battle ended.
Able to win with 150 health left on the commander rather. Very, very, very risky push, and Shirakawa got some balls on that push. Damn. Well, I hope you enjoyed this special extra one. Don't forget to do all the YouTube malarkey, and I'll see you all next time.